Hi guys.
Hey. Hi.
How are you, Jack?
How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Great. Great.
I know last year when we set up another floor talking about Mr. Mercedes.
Yeah. Do you guys like it?
I love it.
Good. I hope have you seen the first two
Not yet.
season? Yeah, I hope you'll love season 2.
So talk about when you got the notice that it was getting into season 2. How did you have to go right to production modes?
No, we got it early enough that there was time to put together the writers and figure out what we were going to do. And the big trick with season 2 was season 1 we basically had the architecture of Stephen's first book, Mr. Mercedes, which even though we changed specifics in it, we followed the arc of it. And we, because in his brilliant second book, Finders Keepers, he starts with other characters, and Hodges and all our characters don't come into the show for 250 pages. So we realized that wasn't going to work. And so we had to bring up some of the third book end of watch and go our own way with some of it. And Stephen, because of how Brady Hartsfield has left at the end of last season, we had to invent and figure out with Steve some of the seeds that are in Stephen's book where Brady Hartsfield is and how he's able to continue to spread his evil shit on people around him in the world. And that's part of the challenge because it deals with the brain and the power of the brain and things we all know so little about. All these things, our little gadgets, were glued to, and the power of the human brain. And Dr. Babineau is up to some bad shit for the greater good.
I was actually going to ask about, adapting Stephen King's works. I know a lot of them sometimes have had struggles with adapting them into visual media.
Right.
You're going to be taking things from season 3 like Felix and bringing them in and doing things with Brady to kind of visualize what's going on. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, for instance, in the first book, there's a lot of Brady narrating. And it's brilliant because Stephen King is a genius at writing twisted, wounded characters and how they see the world and what they say about it. A lot of racist shit. And you really get a glimpse of who this guy Brady is. Anti-everybody. Thinks everybody's a lowlife. But I didn't want to do narration because I felt it would be too easy. So, both with really good writing and the brilliant performance of Harry Treadaway, and the use of music and a few other things, I think we were able to create that guy and tell the story of that guy without relying on Stephen's brilliant narration. And I think that The Outsider, which is now a bestseller of his, which I'm doing next as an 8-part series, it's less narration. But I think that's one of the things that's tricky. He writes very internal books, and I imagine sometimes that's difficult to make visual and not have people. There were even times in scripts we would get from our wonderful writers where a character would sit there and say, say something out loud you would never say. Like sitting alone and going, wow, did the curtains just blow? But I'm sitting by myself. Where if you guys weren't here, I would think it, but I wouldn't say it. And sometimes in Stephen's books. So, yes, it is a challenge, but I think that we made it an asset.
I was going to ask what you just said about Brady hating everybody and racist. Is there anything that I know you've changed some of the things it just says in the books season. Is there anything that you put in or that maybe just came out because of the way the season goes that
I would love nothing more. First of all, it takes place a while ago, 2013, 14, but that's still, there are politics involved in people who are only out for themselves, and there really isn't a lot. I mean, one of the things I thought was important about the show, and in Europe our show, season 1, didn't sell as much as it would have because of the opening massacre. When Stephen wrote it in 2009 or whatever, it was based on something he heard about on a newspaper in the Midwest that didn't even make the national news. Once it became the modus operandi for terrorists around the world, and my objective as a director was to make it as real as possible, not to embellish it, not to have sexy action music over the opening, not to do Sam Peckinpah slow motion to glorify any of the action. I wanted it just to be in your face and what it would really be like to be in one of those horrific events. And it scared a lot of Europe, but now it is selling more and more. But one of the things we all talked about that is important is the repercussions of those kind of ripples. When you do something really awful, my wife's a rabbi, so she speaks about this a lot. It's like, what you put out in the world, it can be words, it can be things, it can be deeds, it can be actions. It has repercussions. We all know that. And when you do evil, as Brady Hartsfield, it touches many, many lives and destroys many lives. Look at what's going on in the schools and all the shootings and all that stuff. And so we felt it was important in the second season as much as possible to dwell on or hit some of those points of people who were affected by it. But on a political spectrum, as much as I would love to have it stand up and wave that flag, which I think desperately needs waving, I probably can't claim that our show does that, maybe on a humanistic level, because it is about dignity. It's about how does everyone have dignity? How do you not take it away from somebody? When Lou Linkletter gets stabbed and betrayed by her friend, he robs her of her life, essentially. She keeps living, but a part of her is destroyed by it. So, and that happens all the time in our world, not just through violence. We see it. The way people are shamed, the way our president just points his finger, it's everybody else's fault, it's never his. Right? So I guess on a characterological level and subtext, I hope it deals with that. But it probably on a plot level doesn't.
Well, I know when you said it's set in their people, a lot of those things that were in the first season still happen.
Right, I know.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. No, that's true, and it's happening in many different ways, and and as much as our president and those guys are all anti-refugees, it's all their fault. It's all the other people, whatever those people are. It's all these American white guys who are killing everybody. Hate to say it, but it's, and those people, the disenfranchisement in our world, and what drives somebody to be that desperate to do that. And I've had family members who, go through not making good choices, whether it's drugs or whatever, and it's like, the one thing is that as much as they're torturing you, they're more tortured, to make those choices. And I guess that's true of these assholes who are running around and shooting people, as opposed to just killing themselves. That's off topic.
I'm sorry.
No, it probably isn't.
I mean, Brady.
Yeah, no, Brady Hartsfield is one of those guys. You're absolutely right. Well, but thank you, because that was helpful. Thank you all. You take care.